calm down. What kind of shot?
Alright everybody, I don't even know where the fuck I left off in the last clip. I'm just gonna go with it. Let me show you guys what I got here now. This is a complete untouched engine harness 01 IS300. And here's the one I just pulled out of Vic's car because none of the sensors, none of the critical sensors that share a common ground have a ground. So I'll admit I fucked up, you know. I'm not a professional wiring harness builder, electrician, you know, whatever the fuck. This is my first wiring harness I've ever fucked with. Basically I got a little crazy with the wire cutters, and I figured, oh, a transmission plug, E5. This does everything from the transmission. Snip. No, that's not how it works. There's a shared common ground amongst all of those through the E5 plug on the ECU. So I said fuck it. I found the guy parting out of 01 on OfferUp locally, drove all the way down to Homestead, picked it up, $100, and here it is now. I laid it out on the cardboard and kind of more or less labeled things. That was the power steering plug that I remember it was completely broken. But other than that one, all the plugs are in great shape, even the coil pack plugs, which is absolutely insane. They have the little tab and everything. Injector plugs, yep, those look pretty fucking mint too. But anyways, the injector plugs are gonna get changed regardless. Here's where I'm at. I even got the igniter, which is cool. I'm not gonna cut anything from this harness, all right? What I still have to do is, this is the loom right here that goes to the ECU. I'm just gonna deloom this, take out all the electrical tape. I just need to move this section to the back side through here. I need to take off this plastic shielding because that's just gonna go tucked underneath the intake manifold runners. Basically, put it in the car, plug everything up, the car should fire up. So far with the chassis harness, everything is working. Headlights is working, horn, all that shit is working, so I don't think I fucked anything up too bad there. I have confidence in that. Basically, yeah, what I just said, I'm gonna attempt now. What I will end up doing is taking all the loom off, cutting all the plugs and keeping them for future projects, and then the bulk wiring of it is just gonna go in the trash. I also have to extend the plug for the igniter. The car wasn't an accident, and this green wire here for the igniter is pinched. No big deal, I'm not worried about that. This blue plug here, this green with the yellow stripe was ripped out. Like I said, no big deal, I could fix that. If anything, I could pull the plug off of this one, splice it into this one, and then basically just do minor repairs to this harness, then do my modification, throw it in. So anyways, enough talking shit. I'm gonna set the camera down and start stripping all this plastic and rubber and electrical tape and wire them off. Let's get started. All right, so it might not look like much, but this is where I'm at. Here's all the waste, except for this, all the waste plastic and tape and shit. So my plan is, I've isolated this from this, and as you can tell, this is the section that leads towards the intake manifold. This is the section that leads up and over the cylinder head to the exhaust side of the engine. If I bring this loom back, obviously this is going to hold me back. I've come to the decision I'm going to extend these, even though I do have some shielded wire here. I'm gonna, after I go home today, I'm gonna do research on how to splice and extend shielded wiring. If I need shielding wiring, which I obviously will, I can take it off of this harness where it's all intact. and I have plenty of it there. So basically, after I extend this bundle right here that I have separated, then I could bring this entire loom back behind the engine. And then at the same time right now, I'm also doing some wire harness repair. This is the broken wire on this plug, and got some spare pins. So I'm gonna repair that real quick. And then what's up everybody, back the next day. I got some jabroni coming. They get these crested wheels. Fucking doing them on off-road for free. Goddamn blowing up my email. So hopefully this fucking guy comes and doesn't flake on me. Anyways, in the meantime, the work has begun. I ordered solder sleeves, and like a dickhead, I got the wrong ones. They're too small. And the second thing, even though I still tried them, when I put them to the heat gun, the plastic heat shrink completely like disintegrated before the solder even began to melt. So they're fucking junk. I did them on high heat, I did them on low heat. They're trash. So I'm just going back to the sleeveless crimps. The only problem is that's all I got left. I gotta order more. But as far as the harness goes, as you can see, I've stripped the installation from here so I can identify what's going on here. And what I wanted to check, most importantly, was the plug for the igniter. All right, I wanted to see which wires from the igniter go to the ECU and which plugs for the igniter go to the engine. And so far, this is what I got. 3 wires from the igniter go to the engine, and then the other 5 right here go to the ECU, and this brown one goes to a ground, which is one of these. Goes to one of these grounds here, the ground junctions. So what I plan on doing, I extended these 3, and kind of like left it kind of apart from the harness, because I still have to extend it to reach the location that I put the igniter. And then I split the harness here at this junction. I wanted to see which wires go towards the front of the engine and which wires go under the anti-manifold. So I'm not going to touch this batch. This goes under the anti-manifold. I am going to extend these, which includes 1, 2, 3, 4 signal wires. All right. I have one crimp left. I'm all out. I'm gonna have to order some more because those solder sleeves didn't fucking work out for me. Anyways, I'm not mad at it because the harness is coming out great. So I got this bundle left to go, 20 wires, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shielded wires, which I have here from the old harness. It's obviously gonna be for signal wires for crank, cam, etc. that can't have any interference. They have like another metal sleeve on the outside, and that gets grounded. That's a whole different process on itself as far as splicing goes. But basically, this is where I'm at. Got some good news. Found a place down here in South Florida that sells those crimps. I'm on my way there now. In the meanwhile, I found the Blue Waffle 2 Imposter single cab. This guy knows what's up. All right, back the next day. Got 200 crimps. The first bag is the 16 through 22. And the second bag is 14 through 16 gauge. Got 100 each. And got my wire cutters, got my crimpers. Let's get ready and get started. I'm gonna extend this batch. Then I'm gonna extend these shielded signal wires. And then after that, this whole section can be moved to the back. And then we can wrap everything up all nice and tidy and move on to the coil packs. So I don't know if I said it in the last clips, but I kind of ran out of the wire stock that I had before, like the new shit that we bought for the chassis harness. So what I'm doing, and which is actually a really good idea, I'm taking the old engine harness, dissecting it with the 2002 engine harness that I had there for storage, and I'm basically matching up the colors. So like for example, this is a red with a white stripe. I went over here, found the red with a white stripe, cut it to length. Here's my marks, 0 to 22.5 inches. Match it up there, cut it, and that's how I know each wire is going to be the same length, these right here, and then they're going to be the same color. So future myself will be able to troubleshoot this thing pretty easily if there were any issues further down the road. Not that I would want Vic to take this car to anybody else, but if he did end up taking it to somebody else, hopefully the next person will be able to figure it out. Anyways, just wanted to kind of bring that up, and let's go from there. Alright, boy, that's a lot of work. That's it, that's all of them, fully extended. 22.5 inches right there. These are a little bit longer because they're for the igniter plug, which is right here. So basically all that's left here are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shielded wire. If you guys don't know what shielded wire is, basically it's a regular wire like this, right? But it'll be a wire like that with it'll be a wire like that with the insulation, and then over that insulation is like a braided metal sleeve over that, and then another like a rubber insulator over that. The thing is with the core wire, the wire that carries the signal, that's going to be your cams and cranks and O2 sensors. You splice that like normal, solder or crimp it however you want. And then the only thing is that shielded wire, the shielding metal sleeve that goes over that has to be grounded at one point. At one end has to be grounded. Doesn't get grounded at both ends, just the one. So you can see this way is towards the sensor. So let me find a sensor if I can. I'll show you one of these that are cut. All right, perfect example here. This, I believe, is the cam position sensor, and you can see there's 2 wires, right, going into this thicker wire, but then here you have this metal hanging out. Now that's actually factory. Toyota did that from the factory by design, because that is the outer metal sleeve that protects the signal wire from any interference. And basically that runs all the way through here. This one's obviously cut. Actually, yeah, it's cut at the end, but I cut it after the split. So what this end does, these 2 will go to the ECU because those are carrying the signal. And then this one right here is the metal shielding. And if you follow that on your wiring harness, it's going to lead you to this thing in your ECU box. Looks like a plug, but there's nothing to plug into. So basically what happens is if you pull this blue cap off, you're gonna see a bunch of jumpers. Let me see if I could do that. Actually, no, I'm lying to you. Yeah. See inside there? They're all pretty much connected. This is a jumper connecting all these wires together. Or actually, these are all grounds. So you just plug that in. Oh, by the way. Plug that in. They're all connected. This is just all grounds right here. So if you fuck this up, just remember this is all grounds. So that might be an issue. Or actually will be an issue. I think that's the only one, yeah. So this will lead to these two junctions right here. These are all both of these are grounds, and that will lead to, this is one of the engine grounds where it actually physically bolts to the engine, and then a lot of these get grounded inside the ECU, etc., etc. So the important thing is the metal sleeve, grounding it, and then you shouldn't have any issues. All right, so here's my shielded wire. There's my connections ready to go. So basically, I know there's 5 shielded wires in this setup, but I'm only going to do the crank. The other ones are for the O2 sensors, which I will not be running. However, I will not remove the plugs or cut any of those until I know for sure I can put this harness in the car, turn the key, and the engine will start, idle, and run. With that said, once I can do that, then for the O2 sensor plugs, all I'm going to do is snip the plug off at the end, heat shrink the loose ends, and wrap it up on electrical tape, hidden away with the rest of the harness. And then that's pretty much it. So it's just crank and cam, and I believe that's really, oh, and knock sensors. But knock sensors I really don't have to extend because those are already underneath the intake manifold, which is exactly where the wiring harness is going to be anyways. So the only thing is, with the knock sensors, the plugs are broken. Vic already ordered 2 brand new plugs, connectors for those. Those are coming today actually. And then we'll go from there. To be honest with you, I don't know what's worth. To be honest with you, I don't know what's worse. Engine harnesses or just like doing fucking suspension, because look at your hands. This is gross. This is not a clean job if you're using used wiring harnesses. Anyways, however, I don't know if you guys can see my face. There you go. I have identified the crank sensor, and it's this one right here. Basically, started at the crank sensor, that one. Peeled up the wire loom so I could see it. Found out that it was green and just kind of like pulled on it. This one tugging, and then eventually followed it right here. And here's what's gonna happen. Get the old wire cutters. There you go. Cut. All right. Then what you're gonna do, get a razor blade with a sharp, get a box cutter or something similar with a very sharp brand new blade on it, and you gotta carefully peel away the outer, and be careful not to damage the wires or the shielding underneath. And you can do it by kind of like gently rolling the blade over the outer insulation like that, bending it to kind of like breaking it finally, seeing where your line is, flip the wire over and do it on the other side, very gently, very carefully. Once it's broken all the way around, pull it off, signal wire, actually one of the signal wire, one's going to be power to the sensor, and this bare metal is your shielding. So basically all I gotta do is match them up, but first I gotta cut my heat shrink, get it over here first, so when I crimp these together, slide the heat shrink over, melt them down, and then that'll be the final product. I don't have much room to play with, so what I'm gonna do is trim it like that. Hopefully that's enough. That goes right down the middle. Cool. Just enough to get the crimping tool over it like that. Cut it the same length. Right there. And this is gonna go over the shielding. Just enough. So I know for a fact that one's the shielding, so let's do that one first. Where is my verify shielding? Pre-stage your crimp. Shit. Honestly, it might work better if I put the... No, it won't. Okay. Let's just send it. Put it in there. I guess theoretically, the shielding wire doesn't need heat shrink. I just realized that. So, but you know what, just because I have it on there, I'm gonna do it anyways. Here we have the black with the white. So because I use a different shielding wire, right here I'm gonna make a note. Black with white equals, we'll use the green, equals green. And then I have that looks like a solid blue, and we'll connect it to this solid blue. Yeah, so okay, that makes it easier. Blue equals blue. That way when I go to the other side, I know for sure that I did it right. So black with white is gonna go to this green. So this is the green right here. Actually, I'm an asshole, I didn't even strip these. Strip these very carefully. Let me go back and verify which wire is which. Alright, this one's going to be the green. And it's going to go to the black and white. Right here. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Slide it over. We can do this other one here. It's getting pretty tight. So not much room to work in here, but I didn't want to peel back more than I needed to. Here we go. And crimp. Give it a tug. We got a nice solid connection there. Nice solid crimp. Let's get the heat gun and shrink them down. Not too bad. And like I said before, I mean, the shielding doesn't need heat shrink. I started doing it, didn't think about it until I actually did it, but there it is. Now we gotta do this end, and after this we'll go to the cam sensor. Okay, figured it out. I got somewhat of a plan going on here. However, this section is now completely free, extended. The 4 O2 signal wires, I labeled them and cut them and folded them back. That way, in case anything that happens, I could just go in, I know which one is which, and I can splice it back together. Not unlike what I did last, the last wiring harness, I just cut it and fucking said, fuck it, all right, delete. We don't need it. Don't do that. I learned from my fucking mistake. Anyways, now I could take this big sumbitch, and this is gonna go back, and that's what's gonna be under the intake manifold to the ECU under the steering column. Looks like junk right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and tidy it all up, make it look a lot better and more presentable. Okay, made a lot of progress. Harness, I got it now in a straight line, basically from firewall to front of the engine, which is about right here, and this is where it starts to cross over the top for the coil packs, and then everything else for alternator crank. Basically, all I did was took the bulk that was over here, folded it over here, and zip tied everything together nice and neat. All that's left now is to extend this section of the igniter plug. Actually, I might swap it out because this one's broken and the ground is falling out. So I know this one is good from the first harness, so I might just use that one. And then during that process, KSV Loom, shout out to them, the brand new knock sensor connectors came in, so I'll be replacing these, which are completely junk. Where's the other one? Right here. See, it's just fucking completely falling apart. I'm having trouble finding the connector for the power steering pressure switch. Anyways, so yeah, the harness is starting to show progress and I love it. These are basically the loose ends that I got, the O2 sensors. I have them flagged, which are right here, so I may just remove them for now, because I still got them flagged over here out of the ECU plugs. So if anything happens, worst case scenario, I'll fold them back over, pull the harness out, and put the plugs back in. That'll be the easiest way for me to do this. So yeah, anyways, let's start that igniter plug. Alright, it's a new fucking day, and yesterday before I left, I did something really fucking stupid, and I'm pissed off at myself. So the igniter plug, the igniter connector on this harness that I'm rebuilding right now was already bad. You can see this last wire here, the pin just falls right out because this little section of the connector is broken. I was like, you know what, no sweat. I still got the connector from the first harness I did. It's all Gucci, right? Well, like an asshole, I was God, I wouldn't say reckless, because like it's not like I wasn't like paying attention, but I don't know, this connector, it fell and it hit the ground literally like a height of 3 feet. And I don't know if you guys ever heard a light bulb drop on the floor. You get that distinctive like pop sound when it explodes. That's exactly what the fuck I heard. And this connector just completely fucking shattered like glass. And I was super fucking pissed. That was the connector I was gonna use. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. Came back. I have this O2 harness, right? Well, this one's not looking so great either. It's pretty fucking haggard too. I spent like 2 hours on the internet looking for a brand new connector. All I could find on eBay were used connectors. I checked different websites and finally came across Wiring Specialties, and they had it, but it was like $20 fucking. And I'm like, fuck, man. And nobody else had it. 20 fucking bucks. They obviously have a fucking monopoly on this thing. So I was like, you know what? I looked through. They give an option as a bare connector with the pins, so you can do it yourself, or they can send it to you as a pigtail. All you do is splice it in. Both for the same price. I was like, you know what? Sent the link over to Vic. Told Vic, hey, get the pigtail. Boom, he got it. So it's cool. We found the pigtail. Vic got it. But the bad news is that it's gonna take like a fucking week to get it here. So that's adding another fucking week to this. But I don't know. It is what it is. What I might do is try this plug. So what I'm gonna do, my plan now is I'm gonna put in these brand new knock sensor connectors. I gotta put in these 6 injector connectors, because obviously we're not using factory injectors. And then from there, just like the wire harnesses right now, I'm gonna put it in the car. I'm gonna try to connect everything. Before I forget, I gotta do the neutral safety switch. I'll show you guys when you do a manual or auto to manual swap. I'll show you guys which wires to do there. After that, what I was saying is I was gonna put it in the car, plug everything in. It'll probably take me like half an hour tops. See what happens. Hopefully when I turn the key, it starts, idles, runs, revs. I don't want to drive it now because I'm not sure if the transmission has any oil in it. So I'm not going to move the car at all, but I want to make sure the engine itself will start, idle, run, and do a couple revs, go from there, build oil pressure, etc, etc. So let's go ahead, get started on knock sensor connectors and injector clips. Okay, this is where we at. I went ahead, so all the injector plugs are done. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, 4, 5, 6. Both knock sensor plugs have been replaced, brand new, minty fresh. 1 and 2. Now I'm ready to start on the igniter, and I have 2 spare igniters, which is cool. I have them both tied here because I want to verify that the same part number as the one that I already have in the IS300. So I went ahead and snipped off that plug, which is here in the, it's somewhere in this fucking abyss, somewhere in there. It's trash. Went ahead, if you've ever seen an igniter, each wire is labeled on there, which is pretty cool. I'd like to give a shout out to Toyota for doing that. And I went ahead with my little trusty label maker that prints on heat shrink tubing, which is pretty cool. There's the make and model. I printed up some little heat shrink labels for each wire. T1, T3, C2, ground, T1, T3, plus B, tachometer, IGF, and T2. And basically what I'm going to do now is reuse this extension that I used from the first harness and wire them into this, so that way when the new connector comes in by the end of the week, I'll be able to splice it in, and then I can pretty much take this whole wire harness and put it in the car. Alright, so from where I left off, I got my handy igniter pin out there. So I went ahead and did the extension for the igniter harness, labeled all of them with my heat shrink, and basically I have it ready to splice the plug in as soon as it comes in the mail. I got Vic keep an eye on the tracking number, so hopefully it gets here rather quickly. I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at for today. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day, and pretty much just wait for that igniter plug to come in. So yeah, so even though it might take a week from me, I'm just gonna continue this video on, and you'll see it in the next clip. All right, so it's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Got the igniter plug in. Came in about a week, but I had some personal things to take care of that I couldn't tackle this immediately when it came in. But anyways, I'm back, ready to get it done. We got ourselves a lathe, boys. Pops picked up a lathe, I'd say like maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago. He's been non-stop like making shit, getting familiar with it, learning stuff. He's super stoked. So look out for arms tech shift knobs coming out soon. So basically, got my spare parts stuff here. I'm just gonna grab an igniter. This one will work, so I can know exactly which wire goes to what pin. Basically, if you guys remember, I already labeled each one with my chart according to what the igniter says here. Basically, you're just gonna splice them in. So when you buy connectors from wiring specialties, they give you an option of selling you a complete plug. Where'd it go? Like this, which is a pigtail, or in pieces for you to assemble it yourself. I said fuck it and just chose a pigtail. Make it easier on me, save some time. Otherwise, if this was mine, maybe I might just do the pins myself, but you know, I didn't want to sit there and waste a bunch of time with just this. So I'm gonna go ahead and splice this in, and then from there we can move the harness over to the car and put it in. Fuck, man, it's just, my back is killing me. I already started the harness. You can see it's unwrapped still. That's because I want to make sure everything, first I want to make sure everything works. I'm gonna connect everything, make sure everything is the right length, where it needs to be, the right placement. So far everything intakes out of the engine is plugged in, with the exception of the stuff that's down there. I gotta jack the car up and crawl underneath it. For now, I just have the igniter plug and these transmission plugs up here. For you automatic to manual guys, this is the plug for your neutral safety switch. Okay, if you see on the back of the plug, there's two big the wires are the same size, however the little insulating grommet are bigger than normal. the two outside ones on the bottom. Take those, you cut them, and on the harness side, obviously, they're gonna splice those together. That's gonna bypass your neutral safety switch. That's any IS300, all right? And GS300, I believe. So, with that said, yeah, I just got these chilling up here because if everything's good, I'm gonna pull this harness back out, start wrapping it up, and then I gotta throw it right back in. But as you can see, I just got tightened the bolts for the upper plenum, and then I have all these to go. These will go for the coil packs. This is gonna go to the fuse box, and then alternator right there. I'm sorry, that was that's airflow meter, I think, which I gotta wait on that. So the alternator's plugged in already. I gotta find the crankshaft sensor, which is somewhere around here. Right here. Crankshaft sensor, I gotta plug that in. But I'm just gonna finish bolting up this intake manifold, then continue to work my way around the engine like so. And keep your dicks crossed. Let's see what happens. Good afternoon. Right now I'm heading Turnpike North to my second home. Last clip you guys saw, finished up the wiring harness for the IS300, got it in the car, no start. I'm not getting any spark, I'm not getting injector pulse. I know for a fact that wiring harness for the engine is not the problem. All the grounds are there. The only thing I really fucked with was that crank sensor by extending it. I know for a fact that's not it. I checked continuity. That splice is perfect. I don't know. I'm pretty fucking lost at this point. I'm stuck on whether it's the immobilizer in the ECU. Maybe something happened with the key. No idea. Or it could be a setting with the Haltech. Again, I've never fucked with standalones like that before, so I don't know if there's a setting in there or something I need to do. I know I think it does have a base map in it already. The car ran with it before, or that engine ran with the Haltech before. But I just don't know. I don't know what it could be, and I'm not at the point yet where I want to take it somewhere else because, you know, what if it's not the Haltech? What if it's something I did? You know, I just want to make sure it's not anything that I did myself, because if I did take it somewhere and it ended up being something I did, number one, I'm going to feel like an asshole, and number two, I'm just going to pay a lot of money for what? To fix my fucking mistake. That was probably the stupidest shit that I could have found. That was easily avoided, maybe. So I'm gonna do more troubleshooting, get some information off the internet, look at some manuals, check resistance from the cam and crank sensors, make sure those are still good, and go from there. So we'll see what happens.
2 days later.
This smile right here says that I'm a fucking idiot. I'm here at the IS. The new harness is in. This is my spark plug tester. This is a little light bulb in here. You put in place of your plug wire, and that'll tell you if you're getting any spark to that from that coil. But basically, I've been fighting with this car. Got the new harness in, still no spark, still no fuel. What the fuck? Because I didn't fuck with anything on the new harness except for the crank signal wire. I had a tuner who tuned this engine last with the Haltech. Same setup. He tuned it last time with the old car. It ran, this and that. And I had it called him up like, hey, I need your help, I'm desperate. I'm not a tuner, so I don't know my way around the Haltech software at all. So he was able to remote in using a TeamViewer. So went in through my laptop while I was connected to the IS. Let me go to here. Let me get comfortable in this bride seat that I don't fit in because I'm too fat. Oh, you hear it fucking like cracking and shit. Oh my god. And it's real bright, it's not a knockoff. It's made for like a little tiny Japanese dude. Okay, where was I? Tuner, remote access into my laptop from where he's all the way in Texas, which is pretty cool. Gotta love technology nowadays. He data logged while I cranked the key, I turned the key, it just spins over. He was reading the cam and the crank signals, those are good to go. He taught me how to, or walked me through a little bit of troubleshooting with the multimeter, and I was getting 9 volts at the injector plug from both wires. Now that tells me something's weird because obviously it's supposed to be 12 volts. Battery did have 12 volts. I've had the trickle chargers on this whole time the car sat here. It's supposed to be 12 volts, and it's only supposed to get 12 volts from one wire because the ECU, when it completes a circuit, it completes the ground side. So I don't know why both terminals in the plug were getting 9 volts. So it's really weird. That told me there's like a voltage drop somewhere. So I'm thinking, oh my fucking god, I'm gonna need a new goddamn wiring harness. Like, so I did something wrong, I fucked something up. I was kind of stressing out about it because I was at a dead end. I didn't know what to fucking think. I didn't know what to fucking do anymore. However, something told me just take a peek down here to the kick panel where the fuse panel is and all the chassis harness plugs and the engine harness plugs go into, where they pretty much connect to the car. I found one plug that was not plugged in. I couldn't find anywhere that went. And I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't find anywhere. It's a gray plug that came from the chassis, from the car side here, and it was a male plug. Long story short, I unplugged everything, plugged everything back in. I found out the socket and that plug goes into had a plug into, but it was a wrong plug. It was smaller, didn't belong in there. And I'm like, fuck, that has to be it. So I took the incorrect plug out, put the plug that belonged in there, and then I found the plug where that plug went into. Basically, I had 2 plugs crossed, or 1 plug crossed, 1 disconnected. Fixed everything, went to turn the key, and then we put the camera outside so you guys can witness this fucking glory, this glorious moment for me. How fucking awesome is that? It's not idling, obviously, but it's firing. That means it's getting spark and it's getting fuel now, and I'm super fucking stoked. So obviously that sputtering and whatnot is due because I don't have an airflow meter hooked up. Because remember, I'm still in the stock ECU with the Haltech piggybacked off of it. I have none of the O2 sensors plugged in, and I don't have an air intake temperature sensor wired in yet, which I have there in my truck. And obviously there's no piping here to complete the system. Huge vacuum leak here, huge vacuum leak here for the brake booster or PCV valve. So there's some loose ends I still need to tie up, but this is a big fucking milestone. I can finally get some fucking sleep. I can finally continue on buttoning up all this intercooler piping, buttoning up all these vacuum leaks, all these loose ends, wiring in that AIT, air intake temperature sensor, and then going from there. Because after that, that's it. We're home free. Home fucking free. I'm super stoked. I'm gonna finish this fucking video and upload it and have it ready for you guys, because it's been too long since I've had to upload. Anyways, hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below, and next video is gonna be me wrapping everything up pulling this engine harness back out, making it all nice and pretty with electrical tape and wire loom, throwing it back in the car, and going from there. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace.